More, I thought it'd be worth looking at Crystal Palace for a moment, actually,
Okay.
because I think you talked about how the fans seemed quite downbeat about their recent run of form, and there's obviously a lot of talk about what happens at the end of this season, and if not
Yeah.
before. And Palace are such an interesting club to me because it seems like they've got a ceiling, and you can't see a way of them cracking it, which is weird because a team like Brighton, you'd put them on a bit of a par in terms of resources, and they managed to kick on last year and get themselves into Europe. Can you ever see Palace doing something like that? Along with that, you can also never see Palace going down. So it feels like a bit of a limbo
Yeah.
existence. And obviously, with Hodgson there, he has a lot of respect from the club and its fan base, but it feels like that kind of journey is coming to an end. And I'm really interested by what Palace do next because in this game, let's be honest, they performed incredibly poorly. Any chances that they had were purely because of the absolute class of Eberechi Eze, that he kind of just pulls something out of nothing every now and again.
Yeah.
Is there a better person to take this team forward? Obviously, there's a lot of talk that after Hodgson, they'll be looking at either Steve Cooper or Michael Carrick, which could be really interesting appointments actually. And if Palace are looking to play better football, maybe that's not a smart. Maybe that's not the most stupid thing we've heard. And actually, it might be smarter to do that sooner rather than later.
There's one that's available, isn't there? So that's the question I think that's being asked. And the fans had the banner in the stadium. Did you see it? Wasted potential on and off the pitch, they were saying. Weak
Mm,
decisions taken us backwards. And I think by weak decisions, I think they're probably referring to the fact that Hodgson's still there
mm.
beyond that remit of keeping them in the league last season. And I think
There's
you're right. Palace fans are frustrated because they are in that weird limbo of the Premier League mid-table area where they're going to be somewhere between what, maybe 10th and 15th come the end of the season, which is a weird place to be because you're still in the Premier League, but there's no
mm,
real hope of doing anything other than winning one, losing one, drawing one, and just keep repeating that cycle. But I think the frustration lies with the fact that some of the players there are really, really good potential,
yeah.
and they're going to lose them if they don't perform better and aim
Mm.
higher. I think essentially.
I think it's really telling about the kind of nervousness around clubs of that sort of level of what dropping out the league could do to them. Because if you
Mm.
look back, I think we said at the time we were really surprised that they got rid of Patrick Vieira because they were on a terrible run of form, but they had this really favourable run of fixtures when Hodgson first came in that we estimate that Vieira probably would have got something out of as well. And actually, long term, it looked like he was getting things right. Like he'd got the
Yeah.
best out of a few players. And I wonder if actually that young coach that was trying to push them forward, it would have been smarter to stick with them. But they were just so scared of the idea of dropping out of the league that they just
Mhm.
panicked and did something. And now it feels like they're just going to go back and forth. They had a young, exciting coach who moved them forward a little bit. They got a bit nervous, got rid of him, brought in someone experienced. That's now not working for them anymore because they can't kick on. So what they're going to do now, they're going to move to a more progressive manager who's going to get them to kick on for a little bit. There'll be a rocky patch. And then what do? Do they get rid of them and then move backwards again? And that feels like such a weird cycle for Palace to be in. Have we ever seen Crystal Palace with consistently good young players in the squad to the level of Mark Guehi, Tyrone Mitchell,
Mm.
Michael Olise, Eberechi Eze? We always knew them as the club that were really thriving off Will Zaha. But actually now, you are right, Mike. There is a core of players there that could really kick on in their careers. And right
Mhm.
now, it doesn't feel like Palace are providing the opportunity or the platform for them to flourish. If I was Eze or Elise in particular, and I can see clubs like Man City coming in for me, I know I'm not going to get that much game time, but I'm going to get better coaching under Guardiola than I'm getting right now. And it's sad to say that about
Yeah.
Hodgson. It's someone that I respect massively in the game, and I think he's been incredibly influential. But I think the time has come where Palace have got to start assessing what is their long term goal here. Because it can't just be to just sit in 15th. Because what's the point as a Crystal Palace
Mm.
fan for that?
It's financial security. I think that's the way that the owners will look at it, and
Feels
they'll
like
take
it.
that over struggling in the championship. But you're right, that lack of ambition is going to cost them ultimately because these players are going to go. They're not going to stick around and see if Palace can break into the top
Mm.
10 because they've got ambitions beyond breaking into the top 10, haven't they, at
Yeah,
the
of
end of the
course.
day?